Hello? Hey man, there's this great party that's going on right now. You should definitely come. Bring one of your cool board games as well. Of course, I'll be right there. Don't you hate it how hard it can be to fit a game into a travel bag? But wait, what if I told you there are games in boxes that aren't quite as large? Oh. So, Tiny Epic Galaxies is a worker placement game with some elements of trying to push your luck. You and your friends will all be trying to run your own galactic empire, trying to colonize as many planets as you possibly can. Player who's been to the most planets goes first. In your desire for galactic conquest, you'll start with a small smattering of energy and culture, which we'll touch upon later, as well as just a couple of teeny tiny ships. Your goal here is to place your ships on as many unsuspecting planets as possible and fill them with enough economy and diplomacy until you own them. But how does this all happen? Dice. On each player's turn, they'll roll a big handful of dice, and the outcomes determine which actions you can actually take this turn. A little rocket symbol allows you to move one of your ships, either into orbit of another planet or onto the planet itself, in order to use a special ability. The diplomacy or economy symbols allow you to move and progress one of your ships further up the tracker of one of the respective planets, each planet requiring either economy or diplomacy. You've also got the culture and energy icons, which allow you to gain culture or energy depending on how many ships you have located in or around certain planets that provide culture or energy. And then finally, you've got the snail in a dome. This allows you to use one of your empire abilities, and you start out with just one, which is to upgrade your empire, which is really important because it allows you to have access to more ships and more dice, so you can do more actions. But you can also use the abilities of the ships you've already colonized. But so far, it just feels like a standard worker placement game. What's the big deal? But then we have to consider culture and energy. Energy allows you to re-roll your die as many times as you want, as long as you've got the energy. You start with one free re-roll, but then every single time you want to re-roll again, it costs an energy. You can re-roll as many dice as you want, so you can find yourself often in locations where you're re-rolling those few dice again and again because you just desperately need that economy outcome, and you just keep on running out of energy. Hospitals go into blackout, families go cold. Oh God. And then we've got culture, and culture allows you to copy your opponent's moves. You heard me. When you take an action, you place the die in the activation bay, and you ask and pause and wait and see if anyone wants to copy your move. If they do, they pay the culture cost, and then you repeat with each and every die in this manner. And this is amazing. Suddenly you have to think about the actual order in which you carry out your turn. Do you go for the culture die, knowing that your opponents have enough ships on enough planets that provide culture that even if they copied you, they'd make a net gain? Or do you try and eke them out and bait them into taking other actions by trying to copy your economy or your diplomacy ones? Suddenly this means that you just have to try and work out when's the best time to try and bait your foes. Not to mention that this means that if someone's ahead of you on a planet's tracker, it means that you can't realistically steal it out from underneath them because they'll always be one step ahead. But at the same time, this applies to you and your planets, and it's great. This small box provides such an amazing puzzle as you battle out amongst the stars with your friends, as you try and outclaim and outwit your own fellow space emperors, the management of trying to work out whether to go for the large, meaty, big point planets in the hopes of just claiming victory, or maybe eking out a few teeny tiny, loads of tiny little planets to try and steal all the victory out from under someone, or even not even going for the planets themselves that are good for you, just ones that have really good abilities that provide a whole new turnaround to the game. There's just so much going on in this box that just fits right in your pocket.
Put it in your pocket. It's easy to see. Put it in your pocket. It's smaller than me. Put it in your pocket. Smaller than a stair. Put it in your pocket. Oh, what's that over there? Excuse me, sir, do you have the time? Of course I do. It's in my pocket.
Oh, that was weird. Tiny Epic Galaxies, though, is a neat little game. From the nifty, tiny little wooden rocket ships to the fact that pretty much all information that every player will need is there on their own boards and their own mats and just everywhere you look. It's a small box game that provides this tight and efficient little puzzle and worker placement game for you to crack out every now and then when you just got a little bit of time to kill or you're traveling. That said, though, it's a little bit dull. The planets are really boring to look at. Rarely will you be actually looking at the planets themselves, and instead, well, everything else. I don't care about BSW-10-1 or its grey spherical body. It's boring to look at, and it's dull. Also, everyone starts the game with a hidden mission, which are revealed at the end of the game. These can be things like the Hoarder, which you get 2 points at the end of the game if you've got at least 3 energy or culture. Or you've also got the Noble, which is 3 points at the end of the game if you're the player who owns the most economy planets. The problem is, these rarely ever actually decide the game. In a race to get to 21 points when you've got planets that are worth 7 points, 2 or 3 points is rarely enough to finally steal that game away from underneath someone. Sure, they provide a little bit of direction for you to build your empire in, but otherwise, they don't really do anything. None of that stops Tiny Epic Galaxies from being a bad game. Sure, it won't be the most complex worker placement you play in your life, but the fact that you can copy a player's move adds just enough to this game that its teeny tiny box has the complex density of a black hole. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm off to go create my own galactic empire.